Good morning, everyone. I'm Angela from Jsquare. I will be the moderator for this panel. Thank you so much for listening to our panel. It's such a really early morning, and I see a lot of people here. Really glad to see that. Yeah, and so first of all, I wanted to have a question for all the panelists. But before you answer this question, please introduce yourself and your company in maybe a short way. Thank you so much. So we have seen significant fluctuation in the Web3 capital markets since 2021. From your perspective, how have capital flows evolved over the past year? And what does that reveal about investor confidence and future directions? Sorry, from Akio. Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Akio Tanaka from IBC. We are a seed-stage crypto fund that invests mostly in Asia, but we do actually invest globally with about 200 portfolios currently. And one of the things we do look at, is actual market condition. And I think everybody probably in this room knows, hey, last year we had a great recovery of Bitcoin. The problem is, maybe some of us will, but for crypto VCs, our main job is not bet on Bitcoin, but we are actually betting on new ideas, a lot of unknown altcoins. And if you look at the market, Bitcoin has recovered. And in the last boom, altcoins actually, with a slight delay followed Bitcoin, so everyone was happy. But this time around, there's a big gap between the recovery of Bitcoin and everything else, especially more minor tokens. So we've seen actually quite a gap between overall recovery of crypto market, which is often dominated by Bitcoin and other major tokens. And in the meantime, we have also noticed in the last cycle, VC investment was quite active and the valuation also went up. But this time, even with the Bitcoin prices recovered, we've actually noticed that VC investment hasn't fully recovered. We are slightly more active, but still not like the level we are at 2021. So I think there's definitely flight for quality. So I think VCs who are still investing are investing in a smaller number of what we consider to be higher quality deals and lower valuation than it was before. So that's what we have seen from at least the seed stage investor point of view.
Good morning everyone, ohayou gozaimasu. Yuan to Moshimasu, and I will keep it to that, so I don't talk to you with my poor Japanese and stuff. So thank you. I co-founded in 2017 a small market making shop called Wintermute. We've grown to be essentially the largest market making firm in the spot crypto world, so we do 10 to 15% of the volumes. We started investing in 2020. It was just Yakini and I, and having a more informal investment committee, and now we've got a team of 5. So we deployed money across, over 5 years across about 130 projects, deploying about $200 million as such. It's the opposite side of the spectrum of what we do on the market making side. That's very market neutral and it's very high frequency, and it's just in the microseconds up to like a few days. But essentially, we see venture investments as 5 to 15 years kind of spectrum. For Angela's question as such, I think the horizon, we saw a big move in 2 different, very different ends of who trades as such, so institutions. So institutions, we saw them really leading in 2022. Post FTX, I think people who are the institutions who had decided to look at the crypto space basically couldn't convince anyone to really invest in the crypto space. We've seen a big change from both Hong Kong and the US ETFs approvals basically in 2024, with a bit of an uptake, a warm-up, basically sort of spring to early summer and the end of 2023. And I think that's changed a lot. I think that's influenced a lot of the money that came into Bitcoin mostly. And I think that mostly, for me, that's my biggest factor in explaining why money is coming to Bitcoin and why it just stays there and it performs better than the rest.
Different type of investors.
Very different type of investors. The other completely different type of investor that actually came into more Q4 last year was actually retail investors, especially through I would say the equity, the Web2 retail investors through a set of platforms like Robinhood, Revolut and the others, who essentially just invest in memes. It's this whole set of investors who don't necessarily understand that they can buy a fraction of Bitcoin and they just see Bitcoin at like 60, 80, 100K and they're like, there's no upside for me. And they just think that buying a micro cap at like 5, 10 and sometimes lower than $5-10 million or so, even more. It's just their only way to get 50 or 100x or so. It works for some, but there's a lot of depth in between, I would say. We still see, we've seen a lot of activity there. I think some of that activity pretty much probably peaked with the Trump token. I personally love meme and I've written love letters to memes many times because I think it's just very community driven. And just to Akio's point, actually, I think most of us on the VC side tend to be exposed to altcoins. So instead of the barbell of like BTC or the mains and versus the memes, we tend to be exposed to the body, very much the middle section of the market. And even if we had previous cycles some wealth effect coming from people making money in BTC, kind of being stuck in the ecosystem because they couldn't actually cash out, and then having to reinvest and investing through ETH and the whole ETH ecosystem at the time, so more in 2017 or 2021, we haven't seen that yet. So in terms of future direction, it's more like, when is alt season? This is a big question.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Takashi Hayashida. I'm a managing partner at TEAMZ Ventures. We are early stage venture capital focused on in Web3 and blockchain. We are investing in 4 different verticals, which are infrastructure, gaming, DeFi, and platforms. We've been investing for over 2 years now, into those 4 sectors, exceeding 100 portfolio companies as of today. And we've been investing, I think, around the end of the crypto winter, and we've seen gradually more smart money coming into this space as we've been investing in the space, coming from a different part of the world. And I believe that it's getting really more exciting in a way that a lot of the fragmented ecosystem around the world are getting connected, either through the investments from the institutional space or the startup itself trying to enter market in different part of the world, which really makes sense and is a kind of movement that is required in our space to really bring innovation in each of those sectors I mentioned. Although Web3 and blockchain meant to decentralize and in that sense break the boundaries of countries or different tech, but in reality, in the past around 10 years or so, in the Web3 space especially, it's been really divided and fragmented based on the ecosystem or a blockchain system that you're being attached to. So, but very lately, a lot of those smart money is making it possible to bring new technologies coming from a different part of the world, not just from US we are coming from Japan and entering the market from to another country, which is I think a game changer in a kind of space, since Web3 is meant to really change the industry, across the blockchain system, layer 1 ecosystem, or across the countries. So these are the main changes or trends that I've seen the last probably 1 or 2 years, in the past 10 years or so, since I've been investing in tech and crypto space.
Thank you so much.
Hi, good morning everyone. I represent Vector. I think I'm the only corporate here except the venture capitalist. So Vector is the largest PR agency in Japan. We're the largest in Asia, number 1 in Asia, number 6 in the world. We have our core business is PR, public relations, where we're talking to the stakeholder. That could be businesses, consumers, as well as media as well. But in addition to that, we have the largest press release network called PR Times. It's used by over 100,000 companies, and we have 50 subsidiaries, including maybe some of you have ridden taxi here. We have over 50% of the taxis with a 15-inch display. If you see the bigger one, it's actually ours. We have digital marketing, influencer marketing, UTC, investment arm, and we also have the corporate venture capital. We're basically investing from the balance sheet mainly. Recently, for Web3, we've invested in Bitflyer, the exchange, as well as recently we've invested in an Indonesian startup that is doing NFT sales. And as for the trend, I think since 2021 and when we've been looking as Japanese corporate, we've seen more of the companies that is solving real problems. Instead of, hey, raise the money when you can, and it's a trend now. We do have a lot of trend where we have Web2 professionals turning into Web3 or working together with the Web3 entrepreneurs on really focusing on the problems in society. And as well as the last company we've invested was already profitable. And they're receiving our money for more of a strategy expansion. So yeah, I think it's a good also trend for other Japanese corporate to come in. As you might know, like Sony, Mitsubishi UFJ, or SBI is the largest backer for Ripple. So I think these trends are going to keep arising for Japanese corporate.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so for Jsquare, we started from 2021. That's why I asked the question about the difference between 2021 and now. And before that, our founder, Joanna, was the CIO of DFG Group. And also, Jsquare is the venture capital, and we already invested in over 100 projects from 2021 to now. And also, we just launched our first LP fund back to February in Denver. And I quite agree with the panelists that is totally different from 2021 because we see a lot of institutional players into this Web3 industry. Before that, we didn't see much, and we talk about a lot about the retail investors, but nowadays, as the Ethereum ETF launched, and also I know like near Solana and I think Sui already wanted to launch their ETF in the near future. So I don't think if only retail investor in this industry will be a healthy ecosystem for the whole industry. So for now, I think it's more like mutual and healthy way nowadays. So thank you all for answering this question. And the next part, I will ask you each question. So for Q, With ABSD rules across Asia, how do you view the roles of Japan and other Asian markets in this next investment cycle, especially considering recent the regulatory developments and increased the institutional engagement? Thank you so much.
Thank you. So first of all, I think Asia is a very special space in this whole, crypto industry, because I think Asia always been at the center, I think, of the movement in terms of where the volume of transactions happen. Right? Originally, it was actually here in Japan, Mt. Gox kind of paved the way until they get hacked badly. We had a few major fiascos in Japan, but Japan definitely was one of the first places in the world where actual volume trading happened. And obviously now we have a lot of ex-China or ex-Korean exchanges that actually dominate the global volume. So here, this is, I think, where actually the major action is, and I'm sure Johan is not in Singapore by chance. He's here for a reason. And now, so I think Asia is actually a very special place in that respect for the industry. But in terms of some of the new things we are talking about, the regulation, I think this is also a place I think where we are potentially leading already today. And just compare with the US and some of the markets here in Asia. So Japan now legalized stablecoin. Now we're in the second or third year of legalization of the stablecoin. And we're actually starting to see industry develop. Now, conversely, in the US, it's still in the gray zone. And I think sometimes people wonder, well, is it bad to have a regulation, a regulatory oversight? When you're super early in the business, yes, because you just want to experiment, so you don't want any regulatory oversight hindering you on the initial experiment. But once you actually want to do business, especially with, not just with the enthusiasts in the community, but with the broader society, having a regulatory framework actually helps you, because now you can legitimately go to business and enterprise partners, hey, we're in business and we have license to do this. It's no longer kind of, sandbox experiment. And Japan has, I think, entered that age. And with this, we're actually starting to see flurry of activities. Circle, first of all, they established their R&D base in Taiwan after they acquired, they did the first M&A in Asia. Now I think they have about 100 people or so developing enterprise solutions foundations there. And they also now opened up a shop here in Tokyo. And there's a reason, because Japan has now 3 different types of stable coins. One is more towards, casual, like Amazon gift cards, like prepaid money type instruments, but we are also having additional forms of stable coins, which will now enable things like B2B money transfer or investment type of vehicles. And we think that we're still early, but now Japan has paved the way for those legalized instruments, and stablecoin now has a place in society, and we believe in the next perhaps 2-3 years we'll actually start seeing a lot of practical applications coming out of this. And it's actually very advantageous in Japan right now for this kind of industry to develop, because unfortunately our entire banking and even credit card processing system is based on super legacy infrastructure. In most part of the world, if you're coming from the US or Europe, you have an ACH, SIPA, and I think in most countries in Asia, whether it's Hong Kong, Singapore, there's actually almost near instant and almost free way to send money between bank accounts in the regular banking world. Japan still doesn't have that, and it costs consumers like $2 US. For me to send you $5 via my banking network here, if you don't have the same bank, it's going to cost me like $2 to send you $5. And it's not instant always. They close down under certain business after business hours. So I think in a market like this that's dominated by legacy, I think use of stablecoin, we think can potentially unlock a lot of business cases. And of course, we're starting to invest in this theme.
Yeah, thank you. And I was talking to like a person, like a president for SBI, and they are working with Circle to launch the stable coin.
Yeah, they just had a big event, and I shouldn't say too much because SBI is our LP. And we did actually connect SBI and Circle 2 years ago at our event in Kyoto. So I'm actually very happy that their partnership came into fruition. Circle CEO was visiting Japan at the end of March, and they had an event with SBI CEO Kitao-san.
Okay, thank you. So I was thinking, is that the rule that if you wanted to launch a stablecoin in Japan, you have to collaborate? Okay, thank you. Yeah, collaborate with a giant company. Is that true?
In certain segment, if you want to get into institutional play, yes, but not always, because you can even have a startup with the right background can apply for the license, so it's open to both large companies and startups.
Okay, thank you. So, Yuan, Wintermute plays a central role in liquidity providing. So, what trends are you seeing in token economics and crypto efficiency? Are investors demanding new forms of token utility and sustainability before committing capital? Thank you.
So on the it's not really a rhetorical. I think token economics is often a false problem. It's often just kicking the can down the road instead of trying to really solve the core problem. I think the core problem is essentially in the crypto space. It's still a very different structure in terms of investor than in traditional finance. So basically in crypto space, you still have about 4.5 times more money in private markets than you have in liquid funds and public markets. And essentially in the traditional finance world, there's 14 times more money once you go on IPO and you go on secondary markets than there is actually on the Web2 VC side. And then you have this discrepancy where you have big people who raise like $100-300 million and end up essentially just trying to solve with tokenomics the fact that they will have actually quite a lot of liquidity and basically tokens coming onto the market, and then it's not necessarily sufficient demand to just go and list and be absorbed by the market, which is why you end up with more dependencies on where people list than anything else. So I think there's a few new trends on that front. There's a few new trends around people, some of the large projects doing OTC rounds once they've listed. So it's just they go back and just go and say, oh, we listed already, but we're gonna go back to the source of money where there's more money, these VCs, and then just tell them, oh, I'll give you a discount on my token for the next 3-4 years, but then you have to just reinvest essentially.
We've seen a lot of that recently, yes.
So that's really one of the tricks that's been about, so it's been much more about finding, go back to liquidity where there is. It also means that we get more and more involved in that, just introducing people to exchanges and so on. It's always the exchange decision, but essentially where you list is very, very, very key. And in terms of new trends, really, we don't see that much. I think people care about, I think you mentioned, some invested in a profitable company as such. I think we're very sensitive to investors' rights. We like equity plus token warrants and such. You do get more rights when you do invest on the equity side. And I think it's more of a function of people wanting or not wanting to time the markets when you want to invest in a company that does make some money and then can survive essentially a winter or two. So I think it's more about people trying to time the market on that front. But I haven't really seen very much new utilities. We've seen a few new products in the IP side, on the social side as such, and we see a bit more AI to crypto and generally like AI. That's not necessarily just a fad, but just generally AI crypto applications.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Takashi, are you seeing new models emerging, especially around community-led capital or cross-fund investment strategies?
As an investor, we are based in Cayman and with a BDI asset manager, so we can apply different investment instrument to invest, and we've seen more and more sophisticated way to raise fund for the startups and for us to invest. We now often hear about token swaps, asset transfer, discounted token after the tokens are listed. So we see a more diversified way to raise fund. So and I think it's becoming really more and more important for the investors and the startups who's raising fund to get knowledge, to be knowledgeable around the different means and methods. And at the end of the day, I think it would become even more important to have a really a good communication between the investor and investee, so that we can get ready with all those different instruments.
Thank you so much for Liu. What's your perspective on traditional Japanese collaborations? Are they becoming more open to occurring or partnering with Web3 ventures? And if so, in what sectors? Thank you.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned about large corporate entering into the Web3, so like Mitsubishi UFJ, or Akio mentioned about SBI as report and stablecoin. There's Dentsu or Sony working on NFT, as well as Docomo doing on a national scale. And so I think when you look at like Docomo's innovation and trying to become using the Web3 in a traditional phase, such as like smart contract, or in areas where Web2 couldn't suffice, that needs to keep track record of necessary document or etc. is going to be a big space, and especially even for us, we're really looking into the new business internally to build collaborations with Web3 companies. So I think there's a lot of good trend that will show up for even for a large Japanese corporate to enter the market.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Jsquare is still investing in startups. So if any one of you are building up your own things, please find us out at our booth because the time is up. So thank you so much for all these questions. Hope to see you next year. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
ありがとうございました。ドーナツの皆様ご登壇ください。